What if you've never been the problem? Have you ever felt like you've been doing everything that you can do and you're still not seeing the results? Today, I want to share with you something super honest, very real, and hopefully extremely freeing. It was never you. I want you to hear that again. It was never you. It was the system that you were handed, the lies that you were told that were never based in the truth. Today is our day to reset, to let that go, and to allow ourselves to understand and believe you've never been the problem. Hi, my name's Steve Kidd. I am a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 40, can't talk, but I'm still an international bestseller of 40 books and counting. I've had the incredibly wonderful privilege of working with nearly 5,000 people just in the book space alone, helping them write, publish, market their books, everything that goes beyond that. But beyond that, even more than that, I've had the really wonderful joy of working with billionaires, Olympic athletes, stay-at-home moms, people who are brand new startup in their company, and people who, like Errol Abramson, have had 47 victorious wins in their business. No matter where you're at, I am here to help you. Help you, first of all, to release all of that crazy, stupid, ridiculous, not real shame and blame that we have been handed. Because really, and I'm just gonna call a spade, because really, people who had systems that didn't work found it easier to blame you for their lack of understanding of what to do and how it would work than they were at having the capability to show you how to be able to go from where you were to where you need to go. And that stops right here, right now, today. First thing I want you to do is just stop what you're doing right now. Close your eyes, even maybe for a second, and let this really sink in. Let the question really dive deep into your soul. What if I've never been the problem? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself that deeply, clearly, cleanly. And then let yourself answer back. Because all too often, even when you answer that question, then the next step is that you're blaming yourself anyway, and that doesn't help either. Okay, you are not the problem. You never were the problem, and today is the day to embrace the fact that it's not you. It was a failed system. It was a flawed, and it wasn't even so much all of that as it was half truths. It was people with large enough budget. Here's some of the reality behind it. People with humongous budgets can get away with giant mistakes. Okay? If you come in, all right, so say for example, if you sell a company for $10 million, all right, I know several people that did back in the early days of, or back in the later mid days, whatever, of the internet space. Okay, you've got the capability to make 10 million $1 mistakes, or a million $10 mistakes, or 100,000. Yeah, and poor people can't. You're absolutely right, Soul God. And hi, Tyler, and Mohammed, and Odin. So glad, that all of you are here with me. You see, if you had $100, or you had the capability to make 100,000 $100 mistakes, or even 10,000 $1,000 mistakes, or even 1,000 $100,000 mistakes. Do you see what I'm saying? If you had the capability to do that, you could, blow $100,000 and be like, yeah, okay. That was less than 1/10. That was 1% of of what you made just from that sale of that previous company, or from your net worth, or those kind of things. I was watching a TV show today, this morning, just kind of waiting to wake up and stuff, while breakfast was being made and stuff. And these people were remodeling their house, and it was a $1.5 million project. Okay. Imagine how much the house was if just the addition and the remodel was $1.5 million. All right. And then they got to the place where they're like, well, wait a minute. We haven't even talked about doing the landscaping. And then they did $300,000 of landscaping, and then went over on budget a little bit more than that. Ended up at nearly $2 million just for the remodel of the house. Hey, good for them. Good that they've done well enough in life that they could, literally rebuild their whole entire house and spend nearly $2 million on it. But a lot of us, we don't have $2 million worth of mistakes that we can make. We need to understand, what could I do today? What could I do for, say, $500 or $1,000, or maybe $5,000? We could invest $10 or $15 or $20,000 in the things that are going to really work for us if we get truth and we understand how they really work. Because, and let me just be brutally honest with you, okay? I don't care whether you're paying $5, because I do know an AI that claims that for $5, I know one that's pretty well built, actually, takes massive heavy editing after what comes out of it. But for $50, you could have an AI write your book. Okay. All of those kind of things. Doesn't matter whether you're paying $50 or you're paying $50,000 for a ghostwriter. Okay. I know people that are higher end coaches. I know a person who spent $100,000 for their ghostwriter, plus 10% in perpetuity for the residuals of the sales of the book. Totally worth it for them, but not realistic for most of us. But at whatever of those levels that you're at, you're going to end up with a book, not a marketing strategy, not a plan of how to use it. So you can do like the particular person I'm talking about that spent $100,000. Yeah, you do need to know how exactly. You can spend that $100,000 because you got $1 million advance on your book. Well, that's only 10% of the thing. And because you got that $1 million, because you wrote based off of the other books that you already put out, because this is the person's 7th book, you could write to the publishing company and say, hey, here is my marketing program. Okay, here's the harsh reality of that particular person. I know them very well. I'm not going to say them by name. But for their $1 million advance, when they then finally launched the book 3 years later, by the way, after having spent, $100,000 for the development, the ghostwriter on the book. And I could go off in that direction, but I'm not going to go there. They spent $1.25 million on the marketing plan over the course of the first about 3 to 6 months. So, and their book sold a lot, and I'm sure they made a lot of money on it. I can also tell you that the book didn't make it into the New York Times, even though it broke records, because there were some flaws in their marketing system. And without that correct, proper understanding of where your book fits in your marketing system, your book, it's better than a business card, okay? But it really lands in the place of a landing page. It is a relationship starter It's the beginning of the conversation, not the end. It's not the closing tool. It's the thing that leads you from being completely unknown to being known, to begin the concept of trust, and to hopefully by the end of that be liked. That's the place that your book sits in. That's what landing pages promise us. One of those lies we get. Oh, if you just use this new developed AI script, if you do this thing or that thing, if you have a video at the top of yours, or you don't have a video, if it scrolls long enough, if you have enough little buttons that'll hop them down to be able to buy it, or if you don't have any buttons until you get all the way down to the bottom so that you force the people to read for a whole minute or two, then your thing will convert. And then you want to make sure that it's really low price. And then you want to have a bump offer, and on and on and on and on. And I understand all these things have been tested and proven. Okay. And then the person who spent $200,000 to make $50,000 on their book, and then another $2 million in business that came from it. You see, you got to understand that placement. They spent $200,000 marketing their book on ads. They spent $200,000 on ads, made $50,000 out of that. So they lost $150,000. Then recouped it because A, they had bump orders and add-ons, and B, they had ways of capturing the person's email and other things so that they could create a relationship. Hey, Kylie, glad to have you here with us. You see, ultimately, we're going to buy from people that we know, like, and trust. The book sits in that place. And as long as we continue blaming ourselves because we're working with a coach or an advisor or a whomever that's just telling us, oh no, there's hidden treasure inside of your following. You ever gotten that one? And then you go and you make offers to all of your people, and you don't end up with the $100,000 in a weekend launch that the coach was talking to you about. I'm not saying that their thing wasn't legit. I'm saying that they did that because they spent 10 years and a lot of changes and a lot of failures, 10 years developing that social media following to then be able to do $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $1 million in a weekend launch. And I can tell you, because I know some of these people, like personally know them, I can tell you that a lot of them skipped steps 1 through 5 and went the long way there. Okay, step 1 is understanding clearly, who am I speaking to? And step 2 is then understanding what do they need. And then step 3 is taking just the first little micro win, like I'm doing with you here today. What could you spend $500 on today and begin as soon as tomorrow, and over the course of the next couple of weeks, begin to see some visibility? Because you've got a visibility problem right now. You didn't make $100,000 or $200,000 or $1 million or whatever over Black Friday weekend last weekend because you didn't have the visibility to be there. Your book sits in that space of creating between an ad or a Facebook Live or a whatever and a sale. You can do the things to approach people. There have been people like Soul God and Kylie and Kenyon, and there's a couple others on here that have come on and said hi. And they stayed for a little while. They listened a little bit. Hopefully they got some really good information from it. But this is the beginning of a hi. You saw my face the first time. And typically, there's going to be 50 to 100 people that will pop in and pop out. And they may be here for 20 or 30 seconds. They may be here for 3 to 5 minutes. I know that in this 15-minute to 20-minute live that I'm going to do, that I'm going to get each of you for about 2 or 3 minutes. That's why I'm going to take this and I'm going to break it into 1 to 10 shorts that are 10 to 60 seconds, all of which are designed to just simply invite you to just do the very basic beginnings of a relationship. And that's shoot me a DM. Put a comment on here like Kylie and Soul God and Kenyon have done. And, and go from there. Build the relationship. Your book, which doesn't need to be 350 pages, it maybe needs to be 35 pages. Something really open and honest and cool and powerful. Now, maybe it needs to be 150 pages. It depends on the thing. You want to take one point, make it really clear, and give them a clear thing from that. Okay, but after you write the book, so you know who you're talking to, you know what they need, you write a book that addresses that specific need and gives them one clear thing that they can do. If you do this, you can experience this. Okay, that's all just, hey, how you doing? My name's Steve. That a little initial thing that I did up front. That's just an expanded version of getting to know you. It's not even really a first date. It's kind of more like all the back and forth you do in social media when you're just getting to know somebody and know if you even want to go out on a date with them. That's the place your book sits. And then at the end of that, you invite them to something probably for free or very low end that they can come in with you. Just like right now, I'd love to see you drop the words, amplify review in a comment. Thank you, LinkedIn user. I appreciate you. Just drop the words, amplify review in a comment, in a direct message to me, whatever that might be. Let's get you a win this week. Okay. Now, if you don't have the book, we need to talk about that. If you do have the book needs to go from the invisibility that it feels right now to visible. And there's a quick win. Yes, it's $500 situation that I'm talking to you about. But before we even do that, I'm going to have a conversation with you, just like I did with the gentleman yesterday. And I just told him, I was like, okay, you need to do these 1, 2, 3 things. And I gave him probably actually 5 or 6 things he can totally do on his own, and said, hey, then here are the 3 or 4 other things that you really need to do that aren't something that I can really teach over the phone in 15, 30 minutes, an hour. They're things that have skill sets. They're things that take a little bit of work. They're things that have to do with having systems already in place that you don't have right now. That's okay. Let me give you some free wins, and let me offer to you a $500 win, a $3,000 win, those kind of things. Okay, now these are all marketing situations. We're just getting you visible right now. We're not going to turn you into Coca-Cola on $500 or $3,000 or even $3,000. We're going to get you to visible, to the point where you can do like Lataxion, like Willie J's done, like several others have done many, many times over. We're going to get you not only onto the bestseller list, but then back onto the bestseller list. Then we want to get you in a place where you're staying on the bestseller list so that your book is being found. We want you to go and look at the reports and go from days, weeks, months, years where your book didn't sell at all to where once a week or once a month you get 1 or 2 sales, to where once a week you are getting 1 or 2 sales, to where every day you're getting a sale or 2, so that you're beginning to actually develop that visibility. Do you see? It's all about having a system. Now, there's ways we can expedite it, ways we can speed that all up and get you more. And yes, absolutely. I'm not going to lie to you. The more quickly that you want to be visible, the more money you're going to have to spend. It's a reality of it. But before you start throwing it at ad campaigns on Google, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Amazon, let's make sure you're set up properly so that you can actually be visible even if you're spending money, and so that you can then do something with the visibility. You need a system in place. If you're interested in talking about your system, let's talk. DM Amplify Review. If you want me to take a look at your book, I'll do that. DM Amplify Review, and I'll look at your book for you for free, and I'll give you, 2, 3, 4 things that, hey, you could do this. And if that's as far as it goes, that's great. No worries. I'm here. Been in business for 40 years. I'll be here for probably another 40 years. And I'm ready when you are. I want to see you win. I want to see you shine and know the truth and really, really, truly, really begin. Let today be the day you stop blaming yourself and start using the right strategies that really will effectively help you. And from that, start rising. Thanks for joining me. I'm so grateful for you. I hope that you're happy, safe, and that even though it's gotten cold on us, that you're warm and you feel deeply loved. And then until we're together again next time, tomorrow we're going to talk about nothing happens until a sale is made. We're going to just be real about that. And when we get together tomorrow, I'll be glad to be here with you again then. And until then, have a great week.